Step 22 of this interview ninja training course. We're going to watch Corben go up part of the learning curve of how he looks to others. Now, to do that, we have to get him on camera. And it would be good if you've got yourself on camera as well before you take this next step up the learning curve. Because there's a lot of new content in this, particularly around the area of energy, mental energy, and how much effort it takes you to present and project to others. If you learn to do this correctly, you can actually draw energy from doing it rather than expend energy. And we just want to make a start on that. Please bear with it. You will be watching Corben do an introduction several times, but it's well worth it. And you can learn a great deal yourself. By watching Corben, making notes, and practicing, you are going to become a fluent communicator to show people the real you and get far more of what you want from life. Not just in an interview, but in your work and in all your relationships and your engagement with society. Because being authentic is recognized as really valuable by other people, and they are going to want your company and they're going to want your opinions. You're in charge now for the next few minutes, yeah?
Yeah.
I am but your facilitator.
Wonderful. It is day 3 at Graham's University of Life. This is my 3rd attempt at an introduction video, now accompanied by my Total Control Task Force hat to boost my camera talking confidence. We've already been through some of the stuff on today's agenda, lots of Louis Tice stuff, personal identity things, and a lot of talking about how to feel more self-confident. I'd say today has definitely helped me a lot more than any of the other days have. Not to say they haven't helped me, but specifically the things we've talked about today, I'm feeling like I've taken a lot more information from it that I can actually go and use straight away, which is nice. You can't really think about everything like you can just remove information from it and go and use it. You've got to slowly learn and all of that stuff. But it was good. I've learnt a lot. I'm kind of disappointed that we're about to run out of time because I want to look at leadership styles. I think when Graham comes back, he's going to tell me something that I don't know about the reason why I am who I am, which I'm excited to hear. In terms of leadership styles, I'd like to hear what he has to say, because with my band stuff and my music stuff, there's a lot of that.
At this point, his mental energy is starting to drop off, and his old behavior of self-doubt is creeping back in.
And I don't know.
In fact, I can detect that self-doubt is not part of his core personality, which would be a different issue. For Corben, the need is to change his learned style from over-modesty to more positive self-projection. Plus, give him mental tools so he can in fact gain energy from presenting rather than burn it up. Once you learn to perform in that way, it almost becomes a need. Ask any actor, they love performing and never retire. Back in.
And I don't know why I behave in that way or what kind of leader I'd classify myself as, if one at all. But I reckon Graham knows, so we'll see when he comes back in.
His mental energy has gone, and he is dependent on props like the hat. Despite that, he soldiers on for a few more minutes. This
is the new Corben introduction, complete with my jacket and my task force hat. I am in total control, it would seem, although I seem to be lacking in things to say now that I'm about 3 minutes in. we shall wait for Graham and see what he has to lighten up about my childhood.
In step 23, we're going to unpick why it is that Corben doesn't have the energy to present and is drying up in the way he is here.
Ready when you are, G-Dog. Okay. I'm hot now. You got too hot in my task force jacket. Here, let me save and start.
Okay.
I felt more confident, which was good, but maybe that's because I'd psyched myself up.
No, it's we're just at the beginning. This is going to take you.
I hope so, because I'm going. I'm going on my travelling trip. And
when are you actually going on the travelling?
Hopefully we leave in early January.
Okay.
But I intend we would like to vlog the whole thing.
Great.
And I don't think I would have been able to even begin doing that until I'd learnt some of the things that we've spoken about today, I must say.
Okay.
But you were about to tell me why I am like I am.
Yeah, well, clearly we can't do it now because we're literally down to last 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a later learning step, we will have time to talk about the Hersey Blanchard situational leadership model. Now, if you want to, you can check that out now. There's loads of stuff on the web about it, some of it quite good. And basically, it talks about the style of leadership that is the best one to use according to the situation and what they call the maturity of the group, which is the capability of the individual or the group that you are leading to respond to each of the 4 styles of leadership: directing, coaching, supporting, and delegating. So we'll come to that later. Meanwhile, let's get on with the basics of personal presentation and projection.
Yeah.
Okay. But and I will look at your intro with terrific interest.
If I come...
I'll have my hat back.
my confidence. If I come back after I have taught my lesson, I reckon we can fit in about half an hour, 40 minutes.
That'd be fabulous.
And we
Can I give you a little taskette afterwards? You didn't bring paper, did you? So have you acquired one of my bits of paper?
I'll borrow it.
So and here's even something to write with. You get everything here in the
Lamb household.
in the University of Life. By the way, I checked on the web. There's loads of universities of life and schools of hard knocks and so on.
Well,
this is our university.
We'll call it
of
Graham
life.
Lamb's University.
Whatever.
Of Life. That's what I've titled it in all of my
Okay.
introduction videos. So
All right. Well, I'm a bit like you. I'm also a bit humble, so we will or won't call it that. But this is work in progress. Okay. Bono. 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 Hats theory.
Is this why you gave me a task force hat?
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So look that up and you'll see the connection. And anybody watching this that's already familiar with that theory would have clocked or picked up on what I was doing.
I'm so clueless.
I like to use proven theories. Another thing I'll tell you what, I'll ask you to look into it. Mind mapping.
Yeah. What about it?
What do you know about it? Do you use it?
If we're talking about like that type of thing,
yes,
then I have used that in primary school and things along those lines. Yeah.
Interesting. Going back to primary school. Okay.
Well, they used to call it brainstorming.
Yeah, it's a tool for that. Yeah.
Don't think you can call it that anymore, but.
Okay. Well, look, if it's a technique you're familiar with, then that's fine. Your dad, there is an app. Your dad uses the app.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm familiar with it. I've used it in my life. I think a lot of the people watching would have as well, because it's often used in all my classes used it at some point, apart from maths.
Okay. Good.
Tony Buzan is another great source for mental tools that help you unlock your potential. We're talking here about mind mapping, which was developed by Tony Buzan. He went on to produce many books and really good mental tools, which are based on his theories about how the whole mind works. One set of tapes I enjoyed particularly was called Becoming an Everyday Genius. There's a lot to be gained by watching Tony himself on YouTube. He's such an entertaining and passionate speaker. It's all too easy to just watch and not learn. That's called edutainment in our world. Using his mental tools takes practice, but I do recommend them. You could even buy a book. The key thing is, as you watch Tony Buzan and his methods, apply them immediately in your everyday life and gradually build it up, because it's a skill. It's not just facts and methods. It's a practical skill you can develop.
Well, that's great. I'm glad it's...
I'm no expert in it.
No.
Yeah.
It's
Not
just
that you
that
can be. I guess you can.
all these things are tools, mental tools. You may or may not be good at using a particular type of tool, but as long as you're aware the tool exists and you can potentially use it where you
I
need
wouldn't
to.
say I'm good or bad. I would just say I would never whip it out on my own.
Bearing in mind the time, I want to come to your what is basically has been ingrained in you, what's called an attitude and a positioning. And there's a theory, I think it's another of Eric Berne's theories. He's most famous for transactional analysis.
Yeah.
But he's also came up with a theory called...
You gave me the book by Eric Berne's.
Yeah, he's written about 8.
The white one, what to say after you say hello.
Oh, yes. I think scripting's in that.
Yes, it is.
Have you read it?
I haven't. But I've got the book.
Okay.
I will.
Well, after
When
we've
I get
done
time.
this,
Yeah.
you can get into that. But Louis Tice, which you mentioned at the very, very beginning, Louis Tice is very big on self-talk, the theory of self-talk, which is how your conscious mind draws from your subconscious mind. So that's another area that we can go into. It's an absolutely vital area. In fact, we might be one last fun thing we might do at the end is if we can get that thing working with the computer, and we'll just look at one little clip as a way of closing. Okay. But let me come to scripting and your scripting. Right. Scripting is a theory that when you're born, about 60% of the brain cells that you have and your neurons and your synapses and everything, they're already connected up. That's what you inherit as your nature. And you inherit them because the last 100,000 or many, many more generations since you were a newt or an amoeba or whatever it was, those organisms have learned that if they do certain things in certain ways, then...
is that someone at the door?
I don't know. Open it and see.
Maybe just make sure.
Can't think of it.
Oh well, that's life. The real world knocking on the door. But we've had a good session. Never mind, we have done a lot. The next step will be to start teaching Corben some techniques for better presenting. They're easy to learn and relate to changing the way other people see us.